And we are back at it again with episode 43, 42, 43, 42. I think it's 43. And my name is Honcho. Y'all already know what it is. Let me say bye. This is my guy.
Siriaco. Everybody calls me Rocco, especially my friends. And we got a new friend in the house. You might know who he is. I think everybody in the Twitter streets and the Fantasy Pro streets knows who he is. This guy here, he puts out a weekly primer every week, which is absolutely must read if you want to win fantasy championships. My man, D-Bro.
Boys, y'all too damn kind with that intro, man. I appreciate y'all, though. Really appreciate y'all. I mean, look, real knows real, and that grind is real. And right now, we in the throes of it, dude. We're almost at the 11th hour. It's bewitching hour of the NFL draft, dude. We're like, what? Later this week, we're going to be literally 1 week away? Just one?
No, I'm telling you, this is the spot we've been waiting for all off season, where you're looking at your rankings, and I know everybody was like, "Oh, this is my RB2, this is my RB3." It really doesn't matter until these guys get into a landing spot. That's when you can really set them apart. Because let's say shit, Judkins, or if you like Genty, he ends up getting drafted by a team that already has running backs, or just a bad landing spot in general. Kills your value right there, I think. So the NFL
Well,
draft is super important.
Well, a lot of people have him going to the Jets, which would be problematic for several people.
Ooh,
Well, assuming that Brees ain't on the move in that conundrum, too. I bet you the Jets would trade Brees if he goes there.
I don't know what to do with the Jets. I feel like they shoot themselves in their own foot. I like me. Don't get me wrong. Am I a Brees Hall truther? No, not whatsoever. But why would you draft another? First off, you have Brees Hall, you have Isaiah Davis, you have Braylon Allen.
Braylon
How
Allen.
many how many running backs do you really need, my boy? I'm just trying to figure this out. And y'all suck, so
All,
we need to
all
figure
those
things
guys
out.
getting drafted just kind of tells me that they're not really all the way in on Brees Hall. Um,
Yeah, well, it's new regime, so we'll see what they do this year.
Man, backstage we just found out you are a fellow Louisiana brother.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Born and
tell us a
raised.
little bit. Tell us a little bit about your path to where you are today. How you kind of got there.
Man, I give you the Cliff Notes version. I give you the long version. I talk too damn much. Too damn much, so they're probably going to merge into the same thing. But long story short, I worked for 15 years as a pediatric nurse for St. Jude. Moved to Dallas Fort Worth area from Louisiana. Who dat, baby? And ended up moving here, and I was like, man, I got all this free time because you move to a spot, and you don't have any friends and family and stuff like that. You all of a sudden like you got all this free time open up, even when you got kids. You know what I mean? Like you're like, what do I do with this? Like, I guess I need some more hobbies. I need to do things, and like I was already huge into fantasy. I've been in fantasy, doing fantasy leagues with family, friends, and stuff for a bunch of years, and I was just like, man, I'm super obsessed with this shit. Like, I wonder if I can give writing a go. And it was the wildest thing because, like, legit, like, first of all, I'm a fraud. Like, all these books behind me, if y'all looking at this on YouTube and video, like, that's all my wife's stuff. The only thing I can claim is, like, this small little contingent up here where it's, like, publications that I've written for. Past that,
Respect it.
I always describe myself as a meat and potatoes writer. Like, I think I've read cover to cover in my entire lifetime 2 books, both of them in school when I was forced to do it. And I never wrote an essay that I didn't bullshit my way halfway through it. So to end up in a full-time gig where I'm writing and stuff like that is kind of wild to me. But long story short, bought a Chromebook, reached out to people on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, how do I get up in this? Like, how do I start writing? What does that look like? I did the part-time or, per article stuff for a bunch of years, just trying to write at like the next place I got to, just trying to get more eyes on whatever work I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, and climbing the ladder. Like, people used to joke at me like, man, are you like some kind of hired assassin? And I'm like, because I was hopping from like this place to that place to this place and stuff, but I was just trying, like, you hustling, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to get your work, because if you're taking the time for it, what's your goal? Like, my goal started out with, I want to do this and sustain it to a point where I can make some side cash. I can make a side hustle for myself and my family and stuff. And the more I got into it, the more it started peeking over the horizon of, oh, like, this might be something I could do as a job, like a job. And I was like, okay, well, let me keep pushing, like, what does that look like? And so I kept doing podcasts. I started doing serious radio hits, just making connections with people in the space. And I wrote for a small site that's now defunct called the Quant Edge, which, again, networking and meeting people. Got the job there, worked my butt off. They pivoted. That company went under, and then ended up getting a full-time gig at a startup, which is still in the space right now, FTN Fantasy. Worked for them for a few years, and I was doing a version of the kind of like the primer, but it was DFS focused, every game, every player, every single week. And then, as it were, like, one thing led to another. I ended up touching base with, and this is real, like, everybody that I work with at FantasyPros, all the people on the content team used to be doing shows with them and content and all that kind of stuff. We're all friends. We are actually all friends. And so I reached out to Joey P one week, and I was like, look, I heard y'all were looking for people. Like, do you think would be a fit? Had a call, I think, with FantasyPros higher ups on a Wednesday. Ended up accepting a position with them on a Sunday, and boom, I've been here since. This is my third or fourth season with FantasyPros now, doing the primer and all that, everything in between, dude. It's wild. I mean, now it's just like with all the prospect stuff, we're talking rookies and stuff. I've gotten more into that the last few years, and going to all these different things for the company and covering it. I mean, it's all pinch me moments. It's just like, is this real life? Like, this don't feel like it's real life. Like, I'm going to wake up from this and, so, a lot of people, like, I can't speak for anybody else, but I know personally for me, it's still a lot of pinch me moments. This stuff just feels like it's all a dream. I feel incredibly, and this is not me just blowing smoke. Like, I feel incredibly blessed to do this and wake up and do this as a job, because it still just blows my mind that anybody gives a shit about what I gotta say. So,
Well, I say we feel.
Go ahead.
I said we feel that kind of the same story or same way we feel when we started Fourth in Fantasy. Right, it's kind of all basically that was just an idea at one point, and we were all in a group chat, and we were just like, "Hey, man, we was, I believe it was a larger group chat that led to a smaller one, because we were always just talking in there, and then we originally called ourselves like the Three Musketeers." So
I thought we were the Three Amigos.
Thank you.
Me, you, and Max. Yeah.
Yeah. So
love it.
We started talking, and we're like, "Hey, how about we just start a podcast? See what happens." So that was roughly around end of October. I believe we shot our first episode at the end of November, and we just broke 1,000 subs last Friday.
Yes, that's awesome.
Man,
just broke 1,000 subs.
That's breaking the glass, baby. That's monetization streets now. Woo! Let's go.
It's a beautiful thing. When we started, I talked to my guys, and we said we have to do it because we love it and see what happens. You can't start it thinking, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make that. We jumped in because we love fantasy football. We love Dynasty League football. We're in numerous leagues, like way more than I should even tell. My wife, every time I talk to her, she's like, "Why does every time I talk to you, you are in more leagues?" I said, "Because I just had 3 startups."
Startup season, it demands a price. Okay. I don't set this price, but it
I'm
exacts the
telling you.
price.
I'm telling you, I'll be at the water park with my phone drafting. She's like, "Can you put your phone up?" No, I gotta. I'm about to be up. No, I'm about to draft somebody. I can't do it. So-
Well, have y'all made the same proclamation, and we all make it every single year? Anybody that's ever been in a dynasty league knows what I'm about to say here. I'm not going to do any more startups. I'm capped. I'm
Yo,
done with leagues. I'm not going to get any more leagues. And you say that to yourself like a mantra, like you write it on the little post-it, you stick it everywhere, and you're just like, damn it, I already done messed up. I'm in two
right.
more startups.
You
I
start
mean,
getting invites from league mates, and they're like, "Come join." Like,
Yep.
okay, like,
Yep.
what's another one? So no, it's
See, the
this
caveat
whole.
now is what you do now is you say no to certain leagues, but if it's dynasty best ball, you ain't got to set lineups. I mean, that's easy lifting, right? Huh?
Oh no,
Yeah.
we automatically decline anything less than 10 teams. So we don't mess with 10 team leagues. I don't like it. Anything less than 12,
No,
I
I
don't
feel you
like
with
it.
that. It's 12
And
teams.
then
Yeah.
anything more than 16 for me is a no. The many times someone tried to get me to join
Yeah.
a 32 team league, it's not happening.
Like
Y'all can keep sending
copies
them.
and stuff like that. I can't.
it,
I don't mess with that either. It's too much.
not if you don't have defensive players. Otherwise, it's just untenable. By the time you draft at 30, you're gonna. I mean,
Yeah.
you're screwed.
And
Uh,
I'll own this. I do a lot of freaking things. Like we could talk a lot of stuff. IDP, and that ain't my realm. I'll leave that to the people that are in it.
Oh, we play everything, everything,
I mean,
almost everything.
more power to you, man. I know what I got enough bandwidth for, and IDP. I'm just like, bro, we got people that can write that and do that
Yeah.
better than me. I'll stay out. I'll defer. It's all good.
Hey, Derek, I know you talked about standing 10 toes firm on your prospect and your prospect models and your just evaluation process. Like, can you kind of take us into your evaluation process a little bit?
Yeah, so with every player, it starts with I've got like a few different, and I kind of tweak this year every year because you never want to be like, to me, the biggest thing with all of this stuff, and the thing that I still focus on, like I'm always trying to improve the process, get better, whether that's, changing some of the flavor of the stats that I'll look at, expanding things, looking at different stuff. You never want to feel like you're doing the same thing, or the moment when you feel like you've topped out and you can't learn anymore about whatever, and pick whatever subject you're talking about, that's the moment when you start dying. Like, to me, you got to keep pushing the envelope to get better, to learn more, and keep that process churning. So for me, I could tell you right now what my process is, and I can also tell you that 3 years ago this process is not the same thing. So it's constantly evolving for me. Right now, what that looks like is I take there's an analytical side, so I'll look at certain efficiency metrics that I care about for every single position, um, just top down. So receivers, it's yards per route run, it's
Mhm.
receiving grades, it's missed tackle scores, yak, all this different types of stuff, like performance versus certain coverages, quarterbacks. That's a whole different bag of stuff that I'll look at, whether it's clean pocket passer ratings, deep ball completion rates, things like that. Anyway, there's a lot of analytical stuff that I look at in the process. And what I do is I try to tie that, and I try to marry all of this and tie a bow on it with everything that I'll look at analytically. I don't have a model. I'm not a model guy, but I do look at all the analytics on a granular level. And I try to marry that with a player's game film. And you're trying to complete the best picture, paint the best picture that you can out of a player's skill set, what he does well, what he still needs to improve on. I'm not going to say the things that he's bad at, or the holes in his game, because no player comes into the NFL as a finished product. I don't care if it's
Agreed.
even Ashton freaking Genty. Like, every
Absolutely.
player has things that they are going to improve upon throughout their NFL career. And so I try to highlight and marry both analytics and film work all together. And this isn't like I'm watching all 22 for players. Now, the width of that and how many games I'm watching depends on how much is available to me. And in a perfect world, it's at least 5 to 6 games, usually 6 games, as long as I can get a hold of that many. And that's every player. But, some players, that's only 2 games, and I'll
Yeah.
be really honest about that. So I try to contextualize the analytics and what I see on film and marry those two together when I'm constructing a write-up for a player. And that goes everything from tackle breaking to efficiency to pass blocking. And
Mm-hmm.
I will be honest with this too. It's like, look, I don't think that I'm like the best film bro ever, and I don't think that I'm the worst, but I try to stick with what I know, or at least, I think I know. And you will not see me giving in-depth analysis about somebody's blocking technique. You're not going to see me talking about like doing full scouting write-ups on defensive players,
Mm-hmm.
corners, offensive linemen. Like, I stay in my lane. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of how I approach every single player. Now there's a lot to be had about, if there's context about does a guy come in like somebody from last class, like Blake Corum, for
Mhm.
instance. Some players, it'll be I'll watch multiple years of their game to get an idea if there's an injury. What did they look like before the injuries? What do they look like now? How's their game evolved?
Mm-hmm.
For quarterbacks, like I don't give a crap what he did in 2021. What I care about is the player that you are right now. Same thing with
Mhm.
wide receivers and a lot of different aspects. It's like, who are you right now? Like I don't care. Did you do all this other stuff and you weren't great at this in 2021? Does that really matter about the player that you are right now, as we're talking about, and the prospect that you are entering the NFL? No.
Do you one of the analytics that I didn't hear you bring up was breakout age. Do you look at breakout age? Is that something that you take very highly into your scouting?
So I weigh it.
Mm,
And I don't look at it. Okay, I don't look at it per se as breakout age
Mm-hmm.
now. But I do weigh age adjusted production. Like obviously, like and it's intuitive. Okay, like so obviously, if a player is really freaking good at a younger age and he's playing against older players, obviously that's a check mark. That's good for a
mm,
player.
mm,
But also on the flip side of that, there is context, and I think in as we're evolving processes, I don't weigh it as much as I used to, because in the ever evolving college climate with NIL, and we're still dealing with the remnants of the pandemic and guys
mhm,
staying in college because of COVID, and that messing with some of that data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why like I don't weigh it as much as I used to, and a lot of it again goes back to NIL, like guys transferring everywhere, what that looks like. So
It,
if a guy is sitting on the bench behind somebody, he transfers, but he rides the pine somewhere for 2 years as a quarterback or a wide receiver. So we use breakout age, or used to a lot with wide receivers.
mhm.
Then it can kind of change the flavor of the Kool-Aid. So it's part of the pie, but I can definitively tell you with today's landscape and all the other factors in the last few years, it is definitely a smaller piece of the pie than it used to be.
one of our goals for next year is to actually make it to the Senior Bowl as a
Oh,
crew.
yeah.
Yes, and it was very exciting to see a bunch of you guys, especially yourself, down there at the Senior Bowl. Can you kind of expound on your experiences there?
It's freaking awesome. You got to go, dude. I mean, I said as soon as I got the job at Fantasy Pros, I pounded the table. I was like, I want us to have a presence like these are things that I feel like are very fundamental to
Agreed.
the draft process, the prospect process. There is a difference in having boots on the ground at these things versus you're sitting at
Absolutely.
home and you're seeing everybody with what people are saying on social media. And I can just tell you this, and this is not tossing shade at everybody. You will see a lot of differing opinions come out of Senior Bowl and a lot of these things based off of who is watching and what they're seeing. And I'm not going to say that bias and things like that don't creep into it, but it does, because
Mm.
I've been at this. I mean, I've gone to the Senior Bowl. I think it's the last 4 years in a row. And
Ooh,
there will be
lucky.
times where I will see people like tweeting stuff, and I'm just like, were we watching the same damn player? Like,
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
shit are you talking about? Like,
Right.
what the
Look here,
hell are
Ray
you talking
Charles.
about? Like, or somebody like for this year, for instance, like people were like, oh, Milrose's having a good week or a good day, and I was like,
Ooh.
well, I mean, it's nowhere to go but up, because day one was horrible. So I mean, sure, that's factually correct, but I mean, you're painting a very wide positive brushstroke with that. So like, for Senior Bowl, I love it. I think it's fundamental in the process. You get to go there, and not only are you getting to watch the one-on-ones, you're getting to watch practice for the entire week. So it's 3 days usually. It's nobody stays for the game. You don't care about the game, but everybody's staying there for practice because we care about what's happening in practice, whether it's the one-on-ones, the drills, how what's happening in all of that. And you get to go to that for 3 different days of practice and what you see there, as well as every day after practice. And they do have a media day where you get to talk one-on-one with the players. So getting a chance to interview them, talk to them about their games, and learn a little bit more about the players, their skills, and get a feel for who they are as a person too. Like, and I think that's one of the things, like, getting into fantasy and doing fantasy and getting more into doing this over the last few years, I've gotten an increased appreciation for everything that the players go through, and that bleeds over to how I'm constructing or even talking about players nowadays too. Because at the end of the day, man, we're all people. Those players are
For sure.
human beings. They're people too, and stuff like that. So, like, all I can say for everybody out there in this kind of small side tangent, don't be an asshole when you're talking about players. Like, you can sit here and say you're not high on somebody's game and stuff like that, but you ain't got to be an asshole in the process. Like, players read stuff. Not everybody does, but everybody
It,
reads stuff. And
it's
think about
certain.
how you would feel if you read something, if you were to read something like that about you when you go onto social media. So anyway,
Yeah.
just getting off my
Yeah.
soapbox real fast.
Just
So,
don't
Yeah.
be a dick. Just
Don't
yeah,
be
don't
an
be a
it,
dick.
asshole.
it sounds really easy, but a lot of
Yeah.
people struggle with that in the year 2025. It sounds
Ex-
easy though.
I
Especially
think
on that cesspool, social media site that
Yeah, man.
we just kind of have to use at this point.
Yep.
because I'm 100%, like you said. I believe these players do very much search themselves. I tweeted about Matthew Golden, and he ended up finding it, liking it. I
Mhm.
said it was a positive. It was a positive tweet, and he ended up liking it. But nevertheless, he did find it. Or did I tweeted good things about Damian Martinez? His girlfriend's mother found my
Yep.
tweet.
I got a lot of players that I've either talked to in DMs, a lot of players I've
Hmm.
talked to at various, whether that's been at Senior Bowl or the Combine, in DMs, talking to their family members on social media and stuff like that. Yeah, so, like, it's real, dude. People see
Yeah,
what people say and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
like, my whole thing is, like, you can express your opinions whether you like somebody's game or don't like somebody's game, but just be respectful. Like, you can state that in a way where you're
yeah,
not coming off and being a total asshole. Like, it's
right.
easy.
Especially
Yeah.
after the whole and rest in peace, Kyrie and Lacey situation. These are, like you said,
Yeah.
these are very much humans. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, and kids. If we got, they're young. They
Yes.
make they one day we're gonna make
Well,
mistakes. They're not
and
gonna be
in
the best
in
person
this
there
in
is.
this world right now, like, with social media, like, I mean, just think about, like, when any one of us was in college. Like,
I'm
how much
telling you.
dumb shit did we all do in college that
Whew.
I'm telling
nobody
you,
knew about? Social media wasn't a big thing back then. Like, I'm not a
bro.
saint. I'm not gonna
I
pretend
would have
like I'm a
been.
saint. Like, everybody, we all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, these kids are under the microscope,
Mm,
and it's like, some of the stuff, I'm not condoning when people make mistakes and things like that, depending on what it is. But again, people do make mistakes.
yes.
So while it might be trendy or might be cool to get out on social media and fire off a tweet about something like that, like, okay, take it for instance, everything Xavier Worthy was going through for a few weeks ago,
Yo.
and people were all just sending their snide ass tweets out on social media thinking it's funny, and then you
Mm,
see the details come out and it's like, oh, he wasn't the bad guy in that situation.
no.
That situation was flipped. And now everybody's like, "Oh, maybe I should go delete all that cocky stuff that I tweeted about an hour ago."
Right.
Like, just just be real, man. Like, don't be a jerk. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of the players, everybody's here for the player takes, and
Mm-hmm.
the most divisive guy in this
Mm.
whole draft, Travis Hunter, is he worth the risk in the first round of a Dynasty rookie draft?
Not for me, but I understand if people want to take the risk.
Saucy.
Right,
Okay.
right now, I've got him. I've got him. Where are you at, Travis? I've got him at 16th overall, right behind Matthew Golden. And this is assuming based off of what do we know right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we can all have a conversation and say, what if Travis Hunter is a full-time wide receiver? Where would you draft him then? Okay, but you don't know that is a fact. We're all projecting. None of us know if that's going to be the case. And so I'm not going to shade anybody that wants to draft him as high as like the 103. I get it. I'm just saying, based off of what we know, I'm okay not making that bet because we don't know what he's going to play in the NFL. We don't even know if he's going to play on offense. Now, we all think he's going to play on offense, but if I were to tell you I am from the future and it's week 4 of the NFL season and I don't know, the Cleveland Browns decided to play Travis Hunter full-time snaps on both sides of the ball, and now he's dealing with a hamstring issue. And now the head coach says, when he comes back and he's healthy, he's only playing cornerback. Can any of us say that is not definitively like, that can't happen? No.
Very realistic scenario.
So I'm not going to pretend like I'm holding all the cards and I know exactly how his role is going to play out in the NFL. Now, does that mean that he ends up like being a baller and he's like a top 10 dynasty wide receiver for years to come and I miss out on that? Fine. I'm okay with that. I'm making my bed with that and I'm willing to lie in it. But on the other side of this, where people in IDP, and I'm getting all the questions in our Discord at Fantasy Pros, like, is Travis Hunter worth the 101 in IDP Dynasty? And I'm like, no.
No.
You're projecting. No. It's all this projection of if he does this and if he does that. Could all of that happen? Possibly. Could the flip side of it happen and he's a cornerback that you just now took even in an IDP at 101 overall over Ashton Genty? How you going to feel about that if he's a full-time corner and he doesn't play a lot of wide receiver? Like,
you light that pick on fire.
Yeah.
No, that would, yeah.
So, like, I have him in a range right now at 16th overall. A lot of people are not going to get him. They're not going to get exposure, and I understand that. But I've also got him behind a bunch of wide receivers, one of them having a first-round grade, a bunch of the other guys, like none of these guys have a lower than a second-round grade for me. So in that range, it's not like I'm burying him in my ranks and I'm saying he sucks at football. I'm just I'm acknowledging the risk and the fact that we don't know. If we knew that, would I bump him up in my ranks? Yes, but we don't know.
I think he's actually a very much a true risk in that where. And I don't even have him ranked in my wide receiver rankings just because of the reason we don't know what percentage of offense and defense he's going to play. And just to put it out there, he's not like he's some rocked up 200-pound, 210-pound guy. He's 188, 190. He might end up being in that 195-pound range. And he's talking about, but he can say all he wants right now, saying he could play 100% of the snaps. The NFL is a complete
They're not going to let him do that.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I don't see them doing that.
It's not happening. So now the mock drafts that we've done, he's gone. The highest we've seen has been the 104. I wouldn't even take him there.
No,
that's too early that's too rich for my blood.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at him before the end of the first, like not even touch him. And I'm happy not getting him.
We also have a real conversation about just Travis Hunter, the player, if he is a full-time wide receiver. Like, if we knew he was a full-time wide receiver, can we have a real conversation about that? Because I hear everybody talk about Travis Hunter, and the way that they reference Travis Hunter is that, like, basically he is football Jesus. He is a perfect prospect. He is the next coming of Randy Moss. He's amazing. He is without fault as a wide receiver. He is everybody's wide receiver one easily. And I'm like, are we looking at the same player? Like, I'm not saying that he sucks. I'm not. And I'm not saying that he's not worth, if I knew he was a wide receiver, would he have a first-round grade for me? Yes. But he's not a perfect prospect. There are things in his game he needs to clean up. Like, all that stuff you saw on social media about him running TikTok routes at the Pro Day in Colorado. Like,
that's true.
That is on his film in games. I can show you multiple spots in games where his footwork is inefficient. He is relying a lot on the fact that he is Travis Hunter and relying a lot on athleticism. The finer points to his game as a route runner, as a wide receiver, and as a route technician are not there yet. Now, he is an otherworldly freak, like on the field, and he's able to compensate that with his ball skills and things like that. But that doesn't mean that he's a finished product as a wide receiver. And that my biggest worry for Travis Hunter is that he goes to a place like New England and they shove him in a true X receiver role from day one. And I think if they do that, I'm not saying he's going to struggle, but he's going to have some hiccups in that because his game and what Colorado did there is they got him on the move. He was used on a lot of crossers. If you look at his route tree, if you look at his route running, like when he faces physical corners that can run with him, and that's going to be a lot of the NFL because I don't think Travis Hunter has like elite 4.3 speed. He's probably somewhere in the high 4.4, low 4.5 range, and that's totally fine. Don't really care about that, but this is the point of corners are going to be able to run with him. And if they can run with him, there are multiple spots in his film where the footwork isn't great. He's off time on the play design. Like there's spots where you ask him to run a double move. The footwork is too much. It's tick-tocky, and he doesn't make it to the spot where he's supposed to be. And when he gets physical corners, they can get into his chest. They can push him off his routes, and they can body him. And tell me, guys, like, am I wrong? Do you hear?
No, I don't think you're wrong.
You're talking about that.
When I saw that footwork, it reminded me of Jerry Jeudy, and that's
it's just
the guy I want to invest a high first-round pick in.
I'm just acknowledging that he's not a perfect prospect. He's got things that he has to clean up in his game, or if a team asks him to play true X from day one, he's going to have some learning curve on the job training, and it might look ugly for a few weeks.
I think where people mess up is they try to put him in the same tier as Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. I still don't think he's a better. He's not a better prospect than. He's not them. He's not even better than Brian Thomas from last year as a wide receiver, in my opinion. So
that's fair.
No, I don't think if we were looking, where would Travis Hunter in that realm of wide receivers of 2024 would you place him in?
I'd have to go back and look at my ranks from last.
Would you this or that? Would you rather have Ladd McConkey as a wide receiver, or would you rather have Travis Hunter as a wide receiver?
Knowing that Ladd can stay healthy in the NFL so far, I would have taken Ladd. I would have taken Malik. I think there's a really interesting conversation of ceiling versus who they are as a player with even Ricky Pearsall. I think that like this is an appropriate conversation to have. He's not on the Malik tier. He's not even like he wouldn't have been above, even knowing what we know now about the usage in the rookie year. Like, I wouldn't have put him in the same tier as Marvin Harrison Jr. either. Like, and that's just being real. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I wouldn't, and I've already said this, I would have a first-round grade on him as a wide receiver, but would he be the wide receiver one? Would he be a top 3 wide receiver in that class? No. He's not even my wide receiver. If I knew he was a wide receiver full-time, not playing any cornerback, he wouldn't even be my wide receiver 1 in this class. That's Teteroa McMillan. 10 times out of 10. That's my guy. That's wide receiver 1 in this class.
Speaking of a perfect player, your comp for him is Drake London with better yards after catch.
Yep.
That sounds a lot like a top 5 dynasty wide receiver.
He's pretty damn close. I'm pulling up my ranks right now. I want to say I got him top 10 right now. I got Teteroa McMillan right at wide receiver 10. I got him right behind Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, and Malik Neighbors. I got him right ahead of Ladd McConkey.
Speak on it, man. At this point, at the draft process, I'm tired of the prospect fatigue. It seems like,
dude, yeah, people getting too crazy with their takes out there, man.
Yeah,
you're getting too close to draft.
They're like, oh, he doesn't like to watch film. Of course, they're dropping that from his freshman year. Come on, what are we doing?
Tell me this though. Help me make sense out of this. We're going to talk about Teteroa McMillan, and people are going to use the Drake London comp. And even if you want to dumb it down, okay, let's say the other comps that have been out there in this space constantly. I've heard T. Higgins. I've heard Cortland Sutton also used. But in the same breath, y'all going to comp him to London, Higgins, Sutton, pre-injury Sutton. You're going to comp him to those 3 dudes. And at the same breath, you're going to tell me he's not worth a top 12 pick in the NFL draft. Make that
Making
make
sense.
sense to me.
Making sense. I'm telling you.
Make that make
Making.
sense.
I'm
Like
telling you.
I can't reconcile that. Like in one breath, you said he's Drake London. I'm
Yeah.
sending it, baby. He's T. Higgins.
Right.
He's Cortland Sutton. And then the
Yeah.
next breath, you're like, but he's not
But I'm
that
chilling.
good. He's
Yeah.
not that good. Like, did
I
you
think
just have a
people.
stroke and not remember what you just said before? Like, come on.
It's all that athletic testing. When people start seeing those 4.29s come
Oh,
out, they be like, oh, maybe I need to go back and change things up. No, that's a horrible process to have.
4.29.
Yeah,
What did Devontae Adams run? What did Jerry Rice run?
dude.
Get out of here with that 4.29.
Here's my soapbox about all that. The cherry picking of, and I saw this, and I'll say it. Daniel Jeremiah put the tweet out, and he said no wide receiver that has run over a 4.5 has been picked inside the top 15. I'll only say this: that shit is debunked because the fact of it is Marvin Harrison Jr. got drafted there, and he didn't run his 40. Drake London got drafted there. He ain't a 4.4 guy either, baby. I'm here to tell you. So those are two guys that went just as high. Didn't run a 4.5 because, well, they didn't run. So they're not in your sample, but you can't say it hadn't happened because it has.
and that's exactly why Marvin Harrison Jr. did not run because he knew he's not a four. He might have been. I would say I would have gave him like a 4.48. He probably would have been a 4.5 on the dot if we're being completely
I'd
honest.
say he's probably like mid 4.5s. Marvin Harrison Jr. is where I would have put him just based off of film and stuff. But I mean, boys, I'm old enough to remember when Puka Nacua was too damn slow too. I'm old enough to remember when Cooper Kupp was too slow. I'm old enough to remember when DeAndre Hopkins isn't a burner. I mean, these guys just all suck, right? Like that's where we're at. Like if you ain't running a 4.3, you must be terrible at football, baby.
It's like
40 times is so overrated for wide receivers.
It is. It's dramatically overrated.
I go by film first, then I look at the analytics, and then I look at stats. And that lets you get you a good little full story onto what the prospect is. Till this day, since the beginning, and I'm gonna keep standing on this. Ted McMillan is wide receiver 1. That's how he is ranked in my rankings. My wide receiver 2 at the moment is Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
I really like him. I think his superpower is blocking, but he also gives you that route running ability. And then my wide receiver 3 is Matthew Golden. I still do like him as a prospect. I just don't have him better than those two guys. And then one guy that I'm super high on since the beginning, I'm standing 10 toes in my top 5. Jalen Royals is my wide receiver 4. I absolutely love that guy.
Man, you've been on Jalen Royals since we started this damn podcast. You were the first person I've heard.
I mean, dude, he's good. He's good at football, man. And you want to talk about the Senior Bowl? Here's a fun anecdote about the Senior Bowl. So Jalen Royals went to the Senior Bowl, and he was not 100%. Now, everybody that's familiar with his game knows that final year Utah State missed the rest of the season with a foot injury. It wasn't the foot, but he was dealing with a soft tissue injury. And you're looking at Jalen Royals and you're saying, okay, coming from Georgia military, 0-star prospect, and he goes to Utah State. Okay, well, we need to see him against better competition. He went out in Mobile, less than 100%, and you can tell he was dealing with stuff the whole week. Didn't matter. Dude went out there and was a dog. He won continually, not because of the rack ability, not because of the speed, which you see off his film immediately when you turn on. It was because of his abilities as a route technician and what his release package off the line, how he was setting guys up. And to me, that cemented it down for Jalen Royals. For me, it's like, dude, like, not only is this guy winning against higher competition, but he's doing this at less than 100% with the finer points of playing the wide receiver position.
Yep.
So that is answering so many questions. And if you weren't there in Mobile, maybe you didn't get those answers. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like you're seeing him answer these questions about competition level. How can he get open on a weekly basis? And guess what? All these dudes in the NFL after week 5, week 6, everybody's playing a little bit less than 100%. Now, where that
100%.
meter kind of falls out, we could talk about that for days,
Yeah.
but ain't nobody by week 6 of the NFL, nobody's 100%. Like everybody's dealing with a little something or something.
Someone got a little bit of something they banging up. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Rocco.
Hey man, when you talk about sleepers, man, I listen. You were one of the first guys that I heard in this space talking about Puka Nakua. One of the original cokeheads. Before it was cool. Before it was cool. Before it was a cool thing. Before it was cool. Man, what wide receiver that's going to be drafted way late, maybe even undrafted, giving you those same vibes?
So there's a few different guys that I've got like kind of my finger on the pulse for this year that I think Jalen Royals is one of them that I think could really, really surprise people. Jack Besh is another. I love Jack Besh. And the thing about Jack Besh that I think that people really need to also understand is you can look at the analytics, you can look at the stats, you can look at all these different things. The context about who he was as a player and who he is now and who he will be, I think is absolutely fascinating. So Besh goes to LSU. He was a damn tight end in his first year at LSU, first 2 years. Then he switches to wide receiver. He plays in the slot. Then he goes and plays in TCU in his final season on the perimeter. And I will say this also, like people think that like sometimes like because they hear me talk about the Senior Bowl and they're like, how much do you weigh that in your process? When I get new information on a player, whether it's their skills, kind of like with Royals, but with Jack Besh, to see him in Mobile not only win from the slot, but win from the perimeter in a multitude of ways, whether it was route running, whether it was late separation, whether it was strength at the catch point, and win in a lot of different ways, whether it was go balls on the perimeter, winning in breakers, out breakers. Jack Besh still has another level to his game that he can actualize, and he is still getting better as a player. So another one of these guys that, like, I don't think that we have seen yet the best football that can come from Jack Besh. But, I mean, it's Jack Besh, it's Jalen Royals. The guy that I really want to highlight in this conversation as being, like, the sleeper guy that, like, honestly, you don't see a lot of people talking about him. This is not for shock and awe and stuff like that. I do have him ranked as the wide receiver 10 in my rankings. And again, I'm not doing this to be like, oh, look at this guy or whatever. You know, this has nothing to do with that. I really, really like this player, and that's Elijah Badger out of Florida. Oh shit!
We got a victory lap here. We got victory lap confirmation bias right here.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. Elijah Badger is my wide receiver 11.
I love it, dude. My wide receiver 10 right now. I love his game. So the thing with Badger is he goes to Arizona State. He plays there for 2 seasons. They use him as an underneath weapon, and he's used in more of a rack underneath role where they basically just put the ball in his hands, ask you to break tackles, go do your damn thing. And what does he do? In 2022, he was 3rd amongst all wide receivers in missed tackles forced. In 2023, he was 13th in YAC per reception and 7th in missed tackles forced. Now, the other ancillary efficiency metrics weren't amazing, but you fast forward to his final season at Florida, and you're like, oh, okay, well, he's going to operate in a similar role. Shit, no. Florida said, oh, well, that's cool. That's cute. You done played really well in that role for Arizona State for 2 years. We're going to change the whole diagram, the whole flavor of the Kool-Aid, and we're going to make you the field stretcher in this offense. So he goes to Florida, and the final year at Florida, he's 14th amongst all FBS wide receivers, at least 50 targets. And then we're talking about a sample of like 200, 250-plus players. Yep. He's 14th in yards per route run. He's 29th in receiving grade. He was 8th in ADOT. And in all of those numbers, he was top 15 in both yards per route run against man coverage and receiving grade versus man. And you look at then you turn on the film, and this dude can win from the perimeter. He can win deep, although I don't think field stretching is going to be his massive calling card. But again, you look at his skills and he proved that he can do it. That's not going to be his primary role in the NFL, but you're looking at a player that has showed you multiple sides of his game. He can win underneath, he could break tackles, he could be a bully both with the ball in his hands and at the catch point, and he proved to you he can stretch a defense. So it's like, what else do you want to see out of this guy over multiple years in college? And then he goes out, he runs a 4.4, tests okay, and you're like, well, shit, man, like, why is nobody talking about this dude? And I think some of it is he had a significant back injury in 2023, so some of it could be the medicals. But also the other part about it is like this wide receiver class has gotten the stamp and disapproval of, oh, it sucks as a wide receiver
Yeah,
class.
they're horrible. Yeah, bad.
Which
Yeah.
I have been pushing back on. I'm like, this wide receiver class is better than y'all give it credit for. And I will not be surprised if Elijah Badger is one of those guys, like he gets drafted by a team in round 3 and everybody is saying, who the hell is this guy? Like, that's not a
I'm
name
telling
I was
you.
told throughout the entire draft process. But some team, and it only takes one, puts the respect on his name and takes him on day 2. I definitively think it can happen. Now, can it not? Could he fall to round 5? It is possible. I'm just saying this dude has skills. He's operated in multiple roles and done well at them. I can't wait to see how his game further evolves in the NFL.
And I'll tell you how I came across Elijah Badger. I was watching the other wide receiver from Florida, I believe Dyke,
Yep.
and I just saw I was like, yo, who's this other guy that's making these plays on this side? And then when I look back, I was like, and plus, go Dogs. I know Florida quarterbacks suck. So I'm like,
Oh,
all
dude,
right, let
Mertz was
me.
so bad. Good Lord, Mertz was so bad, dude. There's so many yards left on the field where Badger's running a post and he's like wide open and the ball goes like
I'm
over
telling
his
you,
head. You're like, oh shit. Well, forget
them
that
boys
play.
suck. Them
Hey,
boys suck. So
yeah, Mertz
when
is
I'm
not great.
when I'm looking at it, I'm like, cool. Let me go back and watch his tape from Arizona State. I don't know why he transferred. He would have been probably better off that way. But when you see somebody have a 20.7 yard per catch, that is something just jump. He has a 68.8% contested catch rate, and then he still had 6.4 yards after the catch this year, and then had 8.4 in 2023. A comp,
6.4
I,
with a damn A-dot of that deep is
I'm
impressive. I
telling
don't think
you,
people realize that, like, and this is just, let's common sense this, boys. When you're catching deep targets, and if you're not led down the field and catching this in stride, there are a lot of times where you're catching those deep patterns and you're tackled shortly after you
Yeah.
make the catch. Like, if the
Yep.
quarterback doesn't lead you in stride, you're not going to run after the catch. You're getting to a point, you're catching a jump ball and somebody's tackling you. So to say that he
Yep.
added the yak on top of that is also another feather in his cap.
It's crazy, and that's what made me fall in love with him. And now the compass has been a little getting him a nice comp is kind of hard, but what I
He's hard
came
to
back
comp, dude.
to,
He is a really hard player to comp.
I came back with he's a slightly bigger Greg Jennings to me.
Okay. The closest I got to is I said he's great value brand Puka Nakua.
I can get, now some people might run away with that. Some people might run away with that,
I
but
mean, it's
I
fine.
liked it though. I like
I
it.
mean, dude, the problem is that a lot of wide receivers that are built with his frame are not as strong as he is. That's the hard part with the comp. It's that there's like I could say that he's very Debo-esque in a lot of things that he does, but Debo doesn't have the same route running chops. And there's other
No,
wide receivers that have better route running chops, but they are not as strong whether it's play strength at the catch point or dealing with man press off the line as Elijah Badger. So it's like
agree.
there's not a lot that like he is a really hard player to get like wrap your head around in one player name to kind of like lay out his full skill set.
You need a combo package to kind of comp him.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
This is a lot of people are starting to kind of come around on Loveland versus Warren. I saw that you had Tyler Warren. I kind of like Loveland, but what's your case for Tyler Warren?
Tyler Warren is in a tier by himself. Loveland is really good, but he is not the tight end one of this class. He's not even in the same tier as Tyler Warren. This comes down to a few different things. So first of all, Tyler Warren, you can ask him. He's a 3-down tight end from the word go in the NFL, based off of what he's going to do as far as a blocker, especially in the running game. You could push him out. Like there was times where I was watching Tyler Warren, and it reminded me of watching, because same helmet and stuff like that. It reminded me in some ways of watching like a bigger version, a more physical version of Pat Fryermuth. Like when Muth came out, Penn State used that dude as a pull blocker. They used him to set the edge. He was nasty. Like they said, Muth, go destroy some dudes and open up a hole. And Muth was like, "Gotcha,
it was nasty.
doing it."
Yeah,
it was awesome, dude. And I think that Tyler Warren brings that same tone-setting mentality to the game. Like he's going to be nasty. He's going to break tackles. He's going to get open. He doesn't have like the pure 4.4, 4.5 speed of like these like ridiculous like George Kittle and stuff like that. So like, can he stretch the seam? Yes. Is that something like you're asking him to win with speed down the seam consistently? Probably not, but he can do it. And he could do it in the sense of winning a back shoulder, winning at the catch point. The catch point's probably going to be a little bit muddy unless he sneaks up on somebody. But this is all to say that Tyler Warren, based off of the overall package you're getting with him as a player, he's going to offer you a ton of upside in a multitude of ways. And he's giving you that physical presence on the field, both what he does in the passing game and in the blocking game. Like he can maul some dudes like breaking tackles. And with all the rest of these tight ends in this class, like who else is doing that, dude? There's nobody. Like as much as I like Colston Loveland, he's not breaking a ton of tackles. He's not a guy that's going to provide you with a lot of yak unless it's just with his speed. Like in his collegiate career, like we're talking about a tight end that has 5.4 yards out of the catch per reception. That's not great. Now, is it horrible? No, but it's not. Based off, if I were to take the name of Colston Loveland away, you would think that number should be a lot freaking higher based off of how people talk about him, and it's not. Now, also in that same thing, he's not. Colston Loveland, thank God that he's a good route runner. He's explosive and he can separate.
Very fluid.
He's very fluid, but the placement aspect of it, he's not a my ball winner at the catch point either. Like you look at him, 40% contested catch rate in college. That's not great either. If I were to tell you how many, just off the top of your head, boys, 3 years in college, and I'll even give you, I'll give you this as kind of a. Colston Loveland caught 117 passes in college. You tell me how many missed tackles forced do you think Colston Loveland forced in college? All of college. Over 100+ receptions. How many tackles did he break in college?
The way this is going, I would say under 10.
15.
8.
Oof.
His last 2 years, he broke 3, and then 4, and then 1. 8 missed tackles in all of college. So
that's
I really like him as a player, but I'm also going to be real about his skill set. And he fought like, is he the Ferrari version of the slot, the big wide receiver version of a tight end? Yes. Does that make him on the same level as a Tyler Warren? No. And honestly, he's the Ferrari version of basically every other tight end in this class. Like we could, split hairs with a lot of guys, but like Elijah Arroyo, big slot. Terrence Ferguson, he's going to play in the slot. He's going to be the move.
Yeah, big slot.
Harold Fannin, same thing. Aronde Gatson, same thing. Mitchell Evans, same thing. Joshua Simon, same thing. Jalen Connors, same thing. Luke Lachey, same thing. Now, we can all talk about the strength of the Kool-Aid for all those guys. They are all the same dude in the sense that they are going to, like, they have played in college 50 to 60% plus of their snaps in the slot or out wide. Loveland's just the best version of that.
I like me some Tyler Warren. It's like when you go see him I say this, there's things that Tyler Warren can do that I 100% know Colston Loveland can't do. You don't see him lining up at that the Wildcat spot and just taking that ball and going crazy with it. You don't see, like, don't get me wrong, does Colston Loveland have good hands? Yes. Do I love that he has that route running ability at that tight end spot? Yes. But there's just something about watching Tyler Warren play, going up to get the ball. It just seems like and that's not even having NFL strength conditioning yet.
Yep.
He's doing this all where he is at. Some people be like, I like Colson Loveland because he's more of the traditional tight end, which I can 100% see that. I can see Colson Loveland being the slightly better blocker, but also Tyler Warren isn't a horrible blocker at that. The man is 6'6", 200 and almost 60 pounds. You can teach his big ass how to
Yeah.
block. I'm just saying, you can.
Warren's a
that's
good
a
block, dude.
And Warren's
But I
gonna
mean-
be fun because he beast mode people, after the catch.
If you stack their stats up just next to each other, like tell me if both of these guys should be in the same tier. Colston Loveland, 5.4 yards out of the catch per reception in college. Tyler Warren, 6.6. Colston Loveland, where's it at here? I'm blanking. Okay, Colston Loveland, 40% contested catch rate in college. Tyler Warren, 63.6%. In his final year, Tyler Warren forced more missed tackles than Colston Loveland forced in his entire career at Michigan. They're not in the same tier, dude. Like, I hate to tell people that, like, they're not.
I'm gonna down on that. So if let's say you in the rookie drafts, where would you feel comfortable drafting? And let's go even add another little caveat in there. It's tight end premium,
Okay.
super flex, 12 team. Where would you draft Tyler Warren?
Tyler Warren, I think the conversation, without knowing draft capital for these running backs right now, I think the conversation for Tyler Warren starts at the 106, 107. Now, currently, I have him as my 9th overall player. I've got him right behind Caleb, Travion, and Amarion. Guys that, I'm like, okay, I think they're going to be locked into, if not first round, second round draft capital. And maybe I'm wrong on Caleb. Maybe he doesn't belong there. But again, that would pump Tyler Warren up to the 108. And I think the conversation, depending on how much of a premium it is, would start at the 106 for me. Whereas Colston Loveland, I've got him at 14th overall. So I don't even have him as a first-round player. So, and again, some of this is going to shift once we get draft capital to some of these wide receivers that I have ahead of him. But say I've got 4 wide receivers ahead of him right now: Trey Harris, Egbuka, Knoll, and Higgins. If one of those guys drops to the 3rd round or something like that, something crazy happens, or the 4th round, then obviously Colston Loveland's going to be in the conversation to be the 12th or 13th overall player on my board.
I'm with that.
But there's a divide. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's massive, but there's a divide. Like Tyler Warren is a player that I would trade up or trade into a rookie dynasty draft to get. Colston Loveland is a player that I'm not trading up to get. I would much rather just trade back, and I'll take some other guy that gets a good landing spot that's in the similar archetype of Loveland, like Elijah Arroyo. If he goes in the 2nd round of the NFL draft and gets a really good landing spot, I would rather just take the value on him later. Whereas Warren, I'm like, no, I would be aggressive and trade up for him.
I think
that's Rocco's reasoning too. Like, at value, he likes Colston Loveland, so he can go get those first round.
I'm not spending the 6 for him, and that's where I see him going in every rookie draft. I just can't do it for a tight end. That's not Brock
Bowers. The other side of this too is I think Tyler Warren, like we discussed here, I think he's the clear tight end one of this class. Now, in saying all of this, I do not think that Tyler Warren is on the same talent. I don't think he's in the same talent area code. I think he's a small step below it. But I do not think that he is in the same talent area code as Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, and Brock Bowers. I think he's right below that, but I don't put him in the same air as those guys.
Did somebody mention a Georgia Bulldog? Let me go get my hat real quick.
Oh, shit, here comes the sombrero. Here comes the sombrero. I'll let you have the Bulldogs. Just don't talk.
Are you going full Saban? It looks like some shit.
Man, I'll let you have your Bulldogs. Just don't say anything about the Cowboys. This is a Cowboys free show.
Oh, God.
Because I finally got another Saints fan on the podcast. So, as Saints fans, we know it's been shit Ever since Drew Brees, the Drew
You're lucky I'm a
Brees
Saints fan and I'm not a
error.
diehard LSU guy, because then we be having some words on here. But I'm
Hey
not. I'm
man,
not.
hey man, I toss it with the best of them.
Yes, you will.
no, no,
As a Saints fan, well, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I think a good pivot to that, to a good topic would be because when I saw your RB rankings, I know some people looking at you when they saw a specific player that
Which
at
one?
that,
I mean, there's a few.
and we saw that Quinshon Judkins is RB
Yep.
10.
Yep. Sure is.
And then you also some might say you might be a Cam Scatterbo hater.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't think I'm a hater. I like honestly like, and I just think I'm being real about it. Like, um, first let's tackle the conversation around Judkins.
Yes, please.
All right, let's take the name away from it. Let's take the helmet
Hmm.
college scouting away from it. If I were to tell you that there's a running back in this class and people are ranking him as a top 5 running back, I'm going to tell you his efficiency metrics right now, and you tell me, is this the analytical profile that is commiserate with a top 5 running back in any class, much less this class, that is known to be a deep and talented running back class? Okay, boys?
Okay, lay it on us.
Over the
Let's
last
go.
3 years, this player has ranked amongst all FBS running backs with at least 100 carries. So we're looking at a very large sample size here. He is
Okay.
ranked 121st, 82nd, and 48th in yards after contact per attempt. He is ranked 41st, 128th, and then 23rd in breakaway percentage. And he is ranked 95th, 66th, and 44th in elusive rating. So
God damn.
those are all the numbers for Quinshon Judkins, while also stating he is never ranked inside the top 50 running backs with at least 20 targets in any season in yards per route run. And yet, this guy is a top 5 running back in this class. For so many people, set and forget. And I cannot, I just can't make that math. Like, I can't make that work inside my head, regardless of, you want to talk about the film, you want to talk about the analytics. I cannot rank Quinshon Judkins as a top 5 running back in this class based off of everything that I care about.
I gotta admit, I was one of the early people. I had Judkins as my RB2 Ducks.
I mean, dude,
Early on in the process,
I mean,
it was
look,
hard for me to, not see
I'm on
that
here all the time.
1,500-yard freshman season.
Yeah.
But I mean, the more I started looking at the advanced stats, and that tackle breaking non prowess, he's definitely moved back for me.
I mean, I just try to be real about it, man. Like to me, I enter this process and I am so encompassed with and just overwhelmed with the NFL during the NFL season. I don't have the bandwidth in my sanity to watch college football every single week. So when I come into the prospect season, I come into it with I have not watched a lick of any of these guys. Maybe some highlights in passing of like some guys on the
Agree.
tube on a Saturday. But like outside of that, I come into this with fresh eyes. I don't have any kind of like pre-existing merriments to players that I've been playing. I've been in Devy leagues and all this other kind of crap. Like I don't come into it with any of that. I watch the guys, I look at their analytical profiles, and I see where I come down on them in their skill sets as players. And that's where like I think in a lot of aspects where like a lot of times there are big divides in my rankings between what the consensus is, then a lot of it's just I don't come into this with any kind of like pre-existing ideas about who this player has been, who he was 2 years ago, or anything like that. I'm just evaluating who he is right now, what is the analytical profile, and what does the film say.
Now, with Judkins and your rankings, was this before or after his combine results? Because everybody seemed like they flocked to him after the combine.
I had
Oh,
him
he's this.
RB10 before combine, and I had him RB10 after the combine. He didn't move.
Love it. I love
He
that.
didn't.
With Caleb Johnson, he's been my RB2 since the beginning.
Same.
I'm
I
not
didn't move
moving.
him
I'm not
either.
moving.
He
I'm
was my
not moving off
RB2
of it.
pre-combine, RB2 post-combine. Didn't move him.
Everyone's like, oh, he ran a slower 40, and I don't think it was a slow 40 for somebody who's 6'1",
4.5,
220 plus.
dude. He's not
Like,
Elijah Holyfield. Like, can we get around that? Like, and he also ran 22 miles an hour. Like, there's multiple ways you can split that. And the other thing about it is, like, some of these dudes, a lot of these guys have track backgrounds, okay? Because you
yeah,
fast on a field, you fast on a track field. That's
hmm
fine. But there's dudes that don't. There's
yeah,
guys that don't have track backgrounds. So, like, when we get to the underwear Olympics and everybody's like jumping and running, and it's about how you're running off the block and how
mhm,
you get out of your break and do like running a 40 is not the same thing as putting pads on and going and running away from people. Like, I'm
yeah,
not telling you that Caleb Johnson has elite speed, but I'm also not telling you that he's damn Elijah Holyfield. Like, that's just not the case. He's
yeah.
fast enough.
I love me some Caleb Johnson. And one, I feel like 40 speed, you can put whatever you want on that. I look at game speed. Got
Yep.
some guys that play a lot faster when those pads come on, and that's what I see in the film. I see I thought honestly off of film he was going to be in that 4-4 range.
I
To be
did
honest,
too.
like
I did
high
too.
four
I'll be
four
real
range.
about it. I thought he was 4-4. And I think not to sidetrack us here,
Yeah.
the best thing if you're gonna weigh 40s, like at somebody look, I'll keep it a buck. Everybody go watch Isaiah Bond play and go watch Matthew Golden play, and you
hmm
tell me who do you think is faster on the college field? Because I'm telling you right, I do think that Isaiah Bond is faster than Matthew Golden. I don't. I'm tossing that 40 in the trash, dude. Like,
Yeah.
congrats and kudos to him. I'm
hmm
telling you, when you turn on the film and you watch both these cats running routes, Bond is faster than Golden.
I had to go back and watch. I was like, "Yo, did I miss something in Matthew Golden's film when I was
He
watching?" I
didn't
ain't seen
play.
no more.
I don't even know if that 4.29 is real. Even if it is real, that's not the speed he plays at, dude.
So like when I put it at this, and then when you break into the analytics wise, even at 4.5, he still had a 56.1% breakaway yard
Yep.
percentage, which was
Yep.
fourth in NCAA. He still had 28 15 plus yard runs, which was third. He still had 43 10 plus yard runs, which was sixth in the
Yep.
NCAA. And then throw it out there, he had 131.5 elusive score, which was seventh in the NCAA.
Yep. He
Like,
was also
come on now.
contact per attempt since we're giving him his flowers.
I'm telling, like, what more? If one, what I love about him, he kind of reminds me of a little bit of Arian Foster to go with Le'Veon Bell. I think he plays behind his pads better
hmm
than Le'Veon Bell because
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell was kind of more shifty, but as a bigger back. But I still think Caleb Johnson would run behind his pads.
Yep.
People are running with the notion, oh, he was giving a lance like a jet strip of if he had a big hole, that's the only reason why he was successful. I'm just like, calm down, because first
He
off,
set up
he
that
only
hole
I'm telling you, it's the
with
vision,
his
it's the
vision.
patience
Yeah.
from him.
Because
And I
Iowa is
think
known
people
as a
are
big passing college. They had such a prolific passing game that nobody could focus on stopping the run, right? Right? Like, Iowa was just tossing like
they were just
quarterbacks
throwing
had
that
300
pigskin.
yard games. Like, they're just balling, dude. Multiple wide receivers going to be in the NFL. Like, just out here just crushing people through the. Oh
I'm
wait, that's
telling
not
you.
the case. That's not the case. Oh
I'm
wait, it was one
telling
heaping dose of Caleb Johnson every damn week, and still nobody could stop it. Oh, okay, cool, cool.
it doesn't make sense to me. Now, everyone obviously now with people running the 40, people brought up Omarion Hampton to their RB2. I will listen to that, but also me personally, I would go Travion Henderson as my if it Caleb Johnson's my RB2, then Travion Henderson is my RB3. I think if they,
We
I
are
think he
hand holding, baby.
Hey, listen, he's the full package of running back. He's the best pass blocker, and he's not even the biggest back in the draft, but he's the best blocking one. And he's good at. I think he has home run threat ability.
hmm
He can catch the
Oh,
ball. So,
Any
like,
team
what more
searching
you
for
need?
this year, like a Jameer Gibbs type of clone from this class, is going to love Travion. And I'm not telling you that
Love
he's
that boy.
going to be Gibbs, but he's the closest to Gibbs that you can get from this class.
yeah. The way he destroys angles when he gets free in space is
Oh, he's
just like bends time and space.
So we're hand holding here. I mean, at Genty's my 1, Caleb's my 2, Travion's my RB3 right now, and Amarion's my RB4. But I mean, dude, the second bullet point that I have on Travion, verbatim, Henderson runs angry like a pissed off Tasmanian devil.
I like that.
He
I like
does,
that.
man.
Yeah.
He's so much fun, dude. I was watching Travion. It was after like a long day of like watching film on dudes, and I didn't get to him until like it must have been like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Dude, I was like, holy shit! I'm not going to bed until I watch all the games of this dude. He is so much freaking fun.
I like me some. I like me some. Now, if there was a running back that you had to say was someone that could come out of this draft, let's say a Bucky Irving. A lot of people were down on Bucky Irving because they were looking at his RAS score, the colorful charts. It
The
didn't
testing,
look
yeah.
good. But if you were a person who was a film guy, and well, I wouldn't call myself a film guy, but I hold film very highly, and what you saw on tape was a damn good running back. Who would you say has that Bucky Irving potential in this RB class?
Okay, so let's make sure we're framing this So a guy that I think goes in because Bucky was drafted, was it round 4?
Round 4.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so a guy that's going to go round 4 that has the complete package that can break tackles. That I mean, what you want is what he's got.
Hmm.
That dude is RJ Harvey for me. Like easily. RJ Harvey is my RB5 in this class. I freaking love him. I don't give a shit that he's 24 years old. I do not care about that at all. Everybody that's weighing that more than it needs to be is ridiculous because look, no second contract is promised to a running back in the NFL. If you do get a
No.
second contract, that's
Not
because
at
you were a
all.
freaking baller and you earned that second
Hmm.
contract. So if he does get a second contract and he's 28, 29 years old, however you want to split that, then he's going to earn the thing of it is when he gets the second contract, he's either good enough to earn another one or he's not good
Hmm.
and you don't care about him in Dynasty anyway. So what we all tripping
Right.
about the fact that he's 24 years old. I don't care about that. And 9 times out of 10 in Dynasty too, if you're playing in a competitive league, how many guys are on your team in the next 4 years? Like when you
Right.
zoom out and you're saying, here's a screenshot of my team for 4 years ago. How many of those guys are still on the team? Probably not a lot.
They're
So
not a
I mean,
lot.
They traded
RJ
half those guys
Harvey's
already.
I think RJ Harvey's the best shot we got. Now, this is assuming he goes round 4. Now, there is a chance where we're living in a world where he goes round 3 and he doesn't fit the mold here. But if he does, my best bet to be Bucky Irving this year would be RJ Harvey, a player that over the last 2 years has ranked top 20 in breakaway percentage and elusive rating. I mean, he tested like a monster. He played in the passing game. I freaking love the kid. Now, do we want to go further down if a guy comes out and he's this year's Austin Eckler or whatever, do we want to go down that rabbit hole?
Let's go. Let's go there.
Let's go.
There's so there's 2 guys that I really love and I love them, but I hate the fact that this class is so freaking deep because I don't know what to do. There's my tier 5 of running backs. I can make you a case for half of these dudes. I'm only going to
Let
bring
me
up
hear
2
it.
names here though. I love this tier. So this tier that I have, my running backs, RB14 to RB17 is Marcus Yarns, Jarquez Hunter, Jaden Blue, and Taj Brooks. The 2 guys that I specifically want to highlight here. I think everybody's talked about Jarquez Hunter a lot, and I agree with it. I freaking love Marcus Yarns. He is one of my flag plant guys from this year. I love his game. Love
What I
his
be
game.
telling you.
Are you a
What I
fan?
be, that's another
Yeah.
one of my well like
That was one of your deep sleepers.
Yes, I did. We did a video on sleepers in Dynasty about maybe a month and a half ago, and he was
I
one of
love
the
it.
guys that I have brought. Marcus Yarns is my RB15,
14
and
for me.
boy,
We're hand holding again, basically. So I
I
love it.
love
I love
Marcus
it.
Yarns, man. I don't care that he played
I,
at Delaware.
I
Like I
don't care
don't.
either, dude. I don't give a shit that he played at Delaware, dude. Like and I think there's a few different things we got to discuss here. So first of all, he is a pass game weapon. We were discussing
Yep.
a running back that over the last 2 years has ranked 18th and 19th amongst all FBS and FCS running backs with at least 20 targets. He's been in the top 20 both years in yards per route run. You look at last year, he was 22nd amongst that giant sample size, 22nd in yards after contact per attempt. Now, is this a guy you're going to ask on a down-to-down basis to go run dudes over, run the A gap? No. But is he a slasher? Can he win with vision? Can he win it in the sense of can he juke guys out, win with vision, win with speed, and beat you being an angle destroyer? Yes. I watch Marcus Yarns, and I want to make sure that I'm coming correct with this because it's not the player that he is now, because I think he has had another evolution of his game in the NFL as a runner and as a player. As a prospect coming out, dude, Marcus Yarns reminds me so much of freaking James Cook. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like you can't and they're about the damn same size, honestly.
Yeah,
And I feel like you can't like Tyrone Tracy from last year and not like Marcus Yarns. Both
dude.
were wide receivers converted to running backs.
I mean, my thing about it too is that, and I also, and again, we talked about going back to a process and evaluation. Another way my process has changed, specifically this year. So I used to be the guy that said, okay, because I was listening to what the NFL was telling us and showing us that they didn't believe guys that were under 200 pounds or 210 pounds could be workhorses in the NFL. In the last 2 to 3 seasons, the NFL has said, screw that shit, hold my beer.
Yep.
You could talk about Devon Achane. You could talk about let me rattle them off here. Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Austin Eckler, who's another guy?
Cook.
James Cook,
James Cook.
Bucky Irving last year. All of those guys are sub 200 pounds. So if you're fading a guy because he's in that 190 to 200 range based off of his size, and you're saying that with your rankings or how you're approaching his skill set as a player, and you're saying he cannot be a workhorse in the NFL right now is telling you that you're wrong, because there are multiple guys. I mean, I literally just rattled off. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs, another one.
That's another one.
Yeah.
I just rattled off 6 guys that basically were in the top 12 to 15 running backs in fantasy. And they're all sub 200 pounds. So if that is the narrative that you're still pushing out there in your ranks and how you're evaluating players, I'm just going to straight up say that it's wrong. So with Yarns, with Jarquez Hunter, with Jaden Blue, all of these different guys, they're of that size. Another guy that I'm not even bringing up here in this conversation, because I could talk about him as a sleeper, but he's my RB9 of the class, is Brashard Smith. Same type of idea. 4.3 speed, 190 something pounds. Smith. A baller in the passing game. But I could go down a long. Any thoughts on those guys before I wax poetic about Taj Brooks?
Oh yeah, man. Brashard Smith is my RB9, just like you. So I like what I'm telling you, man. But when I saw he had a 90 receiving grade, I think the closest next running back in the FBS was like 79. I went back and I made sure to watch his film. I do like me some Brashard Smith. I think in this class he probably has
his background, right? As a receiver, huh?
Yeah, he was a receiver.
Yeah, he
another Tyrone
Tracy. He was a receiver at the U for 2 years or 2 or 3 years, and he didn't play running back for everybody at home. He didn't play running back until the final year at SMU full time.
Yeah, and so that's somebody that still is learning position. Still had 1,300 yards in the season. And what to go along with the passing, that's in this modern day of NFL, he's the perfect weapon.
Yeah, dude. Like,
offenses want to use.
I hope he gets draft capital. That's the big thing with all these running backs. Like, please let these guys get draft capital, at least a certain amount of them. Like, because we're still like outside of the top 2 guys. We're like, okay, who's going where? Who's going in round 2? Who's going to get pushed to round 3, 4, and day 3 and stuff like that? So like. Where I have my rankings set up right now, it's just straight up skill sets and talent. The way that I have these guys ordered, draft capital is going to change some of that, after the NFL draft too.
And even just the volume of guys, some of these guys are going to be undrafted and they're going to land on teams where they're going to push that RB3, that RB2, and an opportunity comes along, and next thing you know, they're killing it on the field.
Yep, and that I mean, you just kind of outlined what I think about Taj Brooks. Like, I don't think that he's going to go really early in the draft. I hope he goes I would be surprised if he sneaks into round 4 of the NFL draft. I think he's probably going to go round 5, round 6. And I
That's a
hate
good
that
spot
for
for him.
him.
Yeah,
I hate it for him because I'm like, dude, you're more talented than this.
he
It's
better
just
than that. Yes.
this is because of this class. Like Taj
Hmm.
Brooks is, dude, he reminds me of the comp that I came with him, and I feel like it's very apropos to his skill set and his build and stuff. He reminds me of Damian Pierce when he came out, and I love Damian Pierce as a prospect.
Oh,
Like this dude's a bowling ball. He can break tackles. He's physical. He's not going to beat you with home run speed, but he's got enough speed. He's a volume back for days and can handle a workload. And I know his receiving profile on paper analytically is not good. But when you turn on the film, this dude is a better receiver than he will be given credit for. I know, again, going back to the analytics, only 5.5 or excuse me, 0.55 yards per route run in college. But again, we're talking about a guy that was used as a check down option. He only had two drops in all of
yeah,
college.
hands.
And I'm telling you, I watched both of those. There were concentration drops. So I basically look at him as like, he ain't dropped no balls. It's not
Yeah,
because of catching technique. I
he
saw
got
there
hands.
are multiple spots where he's using the passing game on wheel routes. This dude ran a seam route. I forget who they were playing. He ran up the seam and caught a one-hander over his damn shoulder. So he showed you ball tracking and the ability to catch stuff outside of his frame. Like, I love Taj Brooks. The problem is I'm worried about the draft capital, but we're talking about sleepers. Could Taj Brooks have, if everything were to happen perfectly for him, he goes to a spot, a guy gets hurt, another guy gets hurt. We're looking at week 5, and Taj Brooks is the starting running back for an NFL team. If you were to tell me that played out for Taj Brooks in his rookie season, I am not going to tell you that he couldn't walk away with a James Robinson type rookie season, a Damian
League
Pierce
winner.
type of rookie season, a Tyler Algier type of rookie season. That is definitively in the cards for Taj Brooks. He's that damn talented.
We could even say Tyrone Tracy when Derek
Yep,
Singletary went down.
yep, yep.
He when he took over the starting role, and up until he started having fumbling issues, he took that starting running
He
back
took
role.
that man's job, and they
Yeah,
brought
he
him
did.
in. They brought him in on a contract, and he just took that man's job.
Yep, he sure did, man. And the other thing about it too, I'll mention real fast here is that if you're looking at the tackle breaking analytics for Taj Brooks and you aren't like, oh, this isn't amazing, you have to understand the context of like the archetype of running back that he is. He's more build up speed, volume, vision. He's going to wear you down, but he wins with his short area quickness. He's not a burner. So giving him that opportunity, like where he's not facing guys that are contacting him behind the line of scrimmage or right after he gets the ball, it's the one to matter more for him than a guy that has more juice, more twitch, and can create a little bit more for himself. So the fact that Texas Tech's offensive line this last season was 52nd in the nation in run blocking grade really hurt Taj Brooks. Like we're talking
No
about,
help.
he went from 60th in the previous season in ranking in yards after contact per attempt to 121st. He went from 37th in elusive rating to 103rd. So I think when you look at his tackle breaking ability and you're looking at just the analytics, I think the 2023 version of his numbers is much more akin to who he is as a player than what he did in 2024.
I love it. I love it. Um, let's finish up on a topic that's near and dear to my heart. As a
Yep.
Saints fan, is there a rookie quarterback that the Saints can draft that you feel that could take us Saints fans out of the post Drew Brees era?
I do. I think it's either Shadur Sanders or Jackson Dart. Pick whoever one of you guys. I like both these guys. I don't believe in the hate on Shadur. I think that
Thank you.
people that have a axe to grind against him or his dad, I think they love grinding that axe, and I think he's a very confident player. The thing that I think gets lost about Shadur in the entire conversation is everybody talks about him like almost like he's been given everything and he hasn't worked and he hasn't earned all of this. And it's like
Right.
Shadur wasn't a 0-star prospect coming out. Shadur also, let's just talk about it this way. Can you understand, like, can people out there listening, Can you understand living under the pressure of being Deion Sanders' son from the moment that
Right.
you put pads on and go decide to even play the game of football?
That's
Living
a
with that
weight.
pressure in Pee Wee, living with that pressure in high school, living with that pressure at college, living with that pressure when you go to a bigger college, now living with that pressure and the scrutiny that comes with it as an NFL prospect. Nobody talks about that stuff. And then succeeding with all of that pressure the
Mhm.
entire time. Nobody
Yeah.
talks about it like that. Like you're like, do you not understand the amount of pressure? Like, look what Bronny's going through in the NBA. And I'm not saying he's the same level of, but living to the pressure to try to live up to who your dad is every time that you step on a football field. And this guy has proven that he's a winner. Like that counts for
Absolutely.
something, dude. Even not talking about the skills, which Shadur Sanders is a damn accurate passer. There is context for days based off of who he was, what he did in college, and who he played around. Okay, like
Mhm.
Travis Hunter in that offense. Who the hell else is going in that offense in the top 5 rounds of the 4 rounds of the NFL draft? 5, if you want to go that way.
Nobody.
Is it Horn? No. Is it LaJohntay
No.
West? No. Is it?
No.
Did they have a dominant run game? Hell no. Is their offensive
No.
line any good? Hell no.
No.
Okay. So what are we talking about here? Shadur Sanders did all of that with him and
Speak that
Travis
gospel.
Hunter. And I already talked about how Travis Hunter isn't this, God mode level prospect that everybody talks about as a wide receiver. Is he really freaking good? Yes, but he also has his warts. That is what Shadur Sanders and who Shadur Sanders played with. He's a better
Speak that
player than
gospel.
people give him credit for, man. So Shadur, go to the Saints. I'll buy a jersey tomorrow. Jackson Dart, go to the Saints. I will buy a jersey tomorrow. I believe that kid is a winner. He has gotten nothing but better all the way through college. He shows accuracy to all 3 levels of the field. He's accurate. He can give you something with his legs. He got to his second reads more than people will ever give him credit for in a Lane Kiffin offense. And for everybody that wants to shade and give Lane Kiffin all this problems and stuff with his offense and stuff, didn't y'all say the same thing about, the LSU offense last year was gimmicky and you didn't believe in Jaden Daniels? And
Yeah.
I will personally own an L with this. Didn't we all, most of us, also say about the same thing about Bo Nix coming from Oregon? It was all screens. It was all design stuff. He wasn't going to be any good. Did y'all just see the rookie seasons that Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix had in the NFL, and yet y'all still
Hell
going to shit
yeah.
on Jackson Dart's game?
Yup.
Y'all still going to say that dude can't play. Y'all still going to say that he ain't got the arm strength. He's this year's J.J. McCarthy, which J.J. is a baller too. He's going to show everybody putting coffin nails this year anyway. But not even mentioning that.
JJ is my guy.
Dude, I love JJ. He was my QB2 last year in that class, above Caleb Williams. I'll stand on process with that. But this is all to say that everybody comes to this and they want to give all the shade and stuff about what play these guys can't do, and they want to shoot it down, and they want to say, well, he hasn't done it for this, and they want to talk about these narratives about, he fell apart in this game and blah blah blah. I miss me with all that bullshit. Miss me with all that noise. I don't care about any of that. I care about the film. I care about their stats. I care about who they are as players. And I think Shadur Sanders and Jackson Dart are going to be good NFL quarterbacks.
And that's true. I feel like we can't even leave. We have to leave it. We have to leave the pod on that note because at this point, that was. I gotta clap it up for you on that one because the way I've been defending Shador Sanders, one, what I put in my notes is winner. That's in bold letters at that. He's like you said and noted. He wasn't a 0-star coming out of high school. He was a 5-star quarterback that decided to go to Jacksonville, Jackson State. Excuse me.
Yeah, Jackson State.
So. And then he was like, "All right, let me go to Colorado. Please tell me the last good season Colorado had before Deion
1-8
and
when
Shador
he
Sanders."
got there. 1-8 with
Thank you.
nobody there.
Turned that program around in 2 years, and then they just shout out to them. They just got Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders just got their jerseys retired. But
Yep.
wherever Shador Sanders goes, he's a winner. He's not arrogant. He's just confident. I feel like that's really big in the quarterback. That's what I look for in the quarterback. You want him to have that type of moxie to him. And I think it would be for the New Orleans Saints treasure. He has the right
Oh, dude.
personality to
He'd
be
be
a New
so
Orleans
good in New
Saints.
Orleans. Like
He
that
would be
fan
the
base would love him. That fan base would love Shedeur Sanders.
Saints. I mean, just New Orleans sports fans in general. We thought maybe Zion would be that guy. We haven't had that guy since Breeze. This
Yep.
guy would be the face of our city.
I mean, dude, you remember? Yeah, I mean, just going back, like if he goes to New Orleans, how much do people even love Aaron Brooks when he won the playoff game? You know, and Aaron Brooks isn't even half the quarterback that Shedeur Sanders is. You know,
Yeah.
how many people that I mean,
That
even
is
we could go through the
lollipop.
darker days with Jeff Blake and stuff like that. Like there was love for a lot of quarterbacks and stuff. Like people would love him, and like in the NFC, like I not to go on a New Orleans rant here, but like I really don't understand why everybody just craps on that as a landing spot for a quarterback. Like, have y'all looked at these other teams that we're projecting quarterbacks to go to? Y'all say New Orleans is a bad team. They got
It could be a
Alvin
lot worse.
Kamara, at least a league average offensive line. They have an old but still talented defense. You have Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, and you got Kamara coming out the backfield.
Mhm.
And you think this is a bad landing spot when they could go to Cleveland, who has Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, and nothing, or they could go to the New York Giants, which is a freaking mess and a handful, or they could go to Tennessee, poor Cam Ward. You got Calvin Ridley and a bunch of what the hell are we doing here? So
Yikes.
New Orleans is not a bad landing spot for a rookie quarterback, and especially when you stack it up against these other 3 to 4 spots, I will push back against with people and be like, no, this is not a bad landing spot for a quarterback. And you
Not
want to
at
talk
all.
about all the salary cap stuff? A rookie quarterback contract versus paying Derek Carr 50 some odd $1 million. A rookie quarterback contract helps your salary cap look a whole hell of a lot better in the next 4 years. Anyway,
I just,
off the
I,
soapbox.
I just,
I can't.
I just
Can't
wish,
wait to
I
get
just,
rid of Carr.
I just wish I wouldn't have reconstructed his contract. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, man.
That's Loomis. That's Loomis
Yeah, that's
BS right
Mickey.
there.
That's Mickey.
I
But
mean,
man, that that was an episode, y'all. Thank you once again, Derek, for coming on our show. It's very much a pleasure hearing you talk about football. We got to do this again if you ever have your schedule open, man.
Dude, just say
Appreciate you
when.
having you on the
Say
show.
when.
100%.
Say when. We'll
My
ride it back.
God. Hell yeah. Maybe after the draft, we see where these guys go, and then we
Okay.
could really,
Okay.
see where our rankings have changed. Since we
Okay.
basically kind of on par with ours so far.
I was gonna say we got to change something here. I mean, we're
there
Yeah,
was
I'm telling you, bro.
there was a lot of hand holding, man.
I
I
know,
felt
man.
uncomfortable at certain points.
I mean, I'm sorry, my palms got
My
sweaty. Okay, it's my fault. Okay, I didn't want to make it awkward, but I did. My bad.
Mom
My fault, my
spaghetti.
fault. Well, yeah, man, we definitely glad to get you back on the show, and thank you for being on the show. I hope the audience y'all enjoy having Derek. It's very insightful. Go ahead, Rocco.
Yeah, Derek, I know you got a bunch of stuff that you got coming out. What you got to promote? Let us know.
Yes, sir.
All the things and stuff at Fantasy Pros. If you're rocking with Fantasy Pros, honestly, hopefully you tune in to not only the main show, the Dynasty show on the Dynasty feed, the NFL Draft show.
Absolutely.
That has been my baby for the last 2 years, my labor of love. Rocking that show with guests every single week with Seth Wilcock, my co-host. Man, has been awesome. So please tune into that. We have a polarizing players episode that is dropping later this week. Next week we will have a betting episode on Betting Pros covering betting the NFL draft if you want to choose to do so. But past that, man, all my rookie positional primers have been updated. So quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, they are live on the site. Comps have been updated. Rankings and tiers have been updated to reflect my rankings currently. This will all shift and change. I will give them another revamp after the NFL draft once we have landing spots. So I'll have the analysis of all their landing spots for all of these players. Right now, I'm somewhere in the 80s as far as the total number of skill players that I've written up for this class. Before the clock strikes midnight for the NFL draft and we are live and picks are flying, I will have that bumped up to 100. So I will have my top 100 skill player write-ups on fantasypros.com.
Beautiful.
Hell yeah. Love to hear that, brother.
I'm a fan,
And
so
I'm sure
Cheers,
I was catching one of your episodes earlier today where
So
you guys
I'm
were.
sorry. I'm very much a radio face, so I'm hoping you were listening to that, not looking at me. So
Hey man, listen, I try to get content wherever I can. So Appreciate you as always. And has been another episode of Fourth and Fantasy, your fantasy playbook to game winning drives. Until next time, y'all take care and have